Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Ascendant, for the month of April 2024. I hope you are well. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Before we get started, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you can do so by following the first link in the description box, which will take you to an extended. Link number 2 in the description box is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost, plus to hang out with a truly extraordinary group of people, which they are. And you can also participate in the classes that we have running over there. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that. Third link is to 3 month overviews that I've done for each of the signs. They run obviously from April to June 2024. We are moving into rather tumultuous times, and I think if you feel like you would get some benefit from knowing how this might be playing out for your sign in particular, then these might be of interest to you. So with all of that out of the way, let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Aquarius. Let's just flip the camera. Can I have 3 cards for Aquarius, please? So in the recent past, we've got the Hanged Man showing up sideways. Okay, I'll explain that shortly. Tell me about current energy for Aquarius, please. We have the Justice card, Libra, in the Major Arcana. And what about what's coming towards Aquarius for April, please? We have the 3 of Pentacles. Well, did I not call your reading last month? It's all about the people. I feel like I did. Well, we're seeing, you know, more of that coming along for sure. We've got the Knight of Wands at the bottom of the deck, Sagittarian energy. I think one of the things that the Knight of Wands does really, really well is make us able to or reflect an energy of being in the moment about something. I think the Knight of Wands gets a bit of a bad rap, to be fair, for being thoughtless, for being reckless. But what he does better than any other energy in the tarot is be present. And I feel like that's where you are right now. Now, I'm going to get some clarifiers out here before we go any further and put some meat on these bones and see what's going on here. Because you've got double Major Arcana, so there's definitely been something requiring some sort of response from you. And I like to see the fact that the response is the 3 of Pentacles. So let's have a look at this Hanged Man. Why is that showing up like... Oh, I've got another fucking sideways card. We've got the 9 of Cups. And we've got the 3 of Pentacles. Wonderful. Tell me about the Justice card, please. We have the World and we have the Queen of Wands. And tell me about the 3 of Pentacles, please. Ace of Pentacles. Amazing. And we have the High Priestess with the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. So we've got some double Pisces energy going on for you. Now, I did say I would explain these cards. If you haven't seen one of my readings before, I'm quite reverential about everything that happens at the table that is part of the reading. So, you know, if a bird comes and sits on the window or a spider runs across the table, like, I'm going to share that with you. And equally, it seems to me to be disingenuous to try and overlay what I think the cards are trying to say when they show up in this fashion, by choosing to turn them either into the upright or into the reverse. And part of the justification that I've come up with for that, aside from what I just said, is that I feel like there's a lack of commitment one way or the other, generally with the cards, or some sort of sense that these energies are on the turn. Like at the point that we're doing the reading, we've caught them in transition, or perhaps they are sat in a state of transition, not yet fully completed, not yet fully committed to going one way or the other. So I keep them sideways when they show up sideways, because that seems to me to be what they wanted. That's why they came out that way. So we've got the Knight of Wands and we've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. And now, in some ways, these could be rather opposite energies. You know, we've got the stasis of the Hanged Man and almost like a guaranteed movement that is represented by the Knight of Wands. But these are both Jupiter-ruled signs, and they're both mutable or double-bodied, as they called them in astrology, right? They're talking about balancing dualities from a sign perspective. Now, the fact that we've got triple Pisces on the table with two hangmans showing up here and the High Priestess over here, there seems to be much more in terms of acceptance, openness, compassion, empathy that is being indicated here than necessarily the fiery movement of the Knight of Wands that we would usually expect. So I'm happy with the Knight of Wands sticking with the ability to be present and see things as they actually are. And there being somewhat of a spiritual process that you seem to be undergoing right now, Aquarius, in terms of, I want to say loosely, your connection to other people, because that's how this is ultimately going to be expressed, I think. But more generally than that, your connection to your own spirituality, your connection to yourself. And Pisces is a highly spiritual sign. And it's often about the dissolution of boundaries. And I feel like the dissolution of boundaries is happening both on the macro and the micro scale, in so much as it's the dissolution between you and other people, right? Aquarius is famed for being somewhat of an outsider. It's part of the archetype. You are the furthest point from the sun and all that. But I think it's dissolving the boundaries between you and a higher sense. There feels to me a way in which you are beginning to feel like all of your movements are guided in some way or another. But I'm not sure that you're out ahead of this. It's more like it's a sense inside. And by saying you're not out ahead of this, what I mean to say is it's not perfectly obvious what the next step is with any of the things that you're dealing with at the moment. It seems to be more like an awareness that you're being guided. There's an awareness that there's something happening here, and you're almost giving yourself to the process and allowing the dissolution of the boundaries between you and your spirituality, you and your faith, you and your sense of there being something, being part of something that is bigger than you, that is at play here. And it feels to me to be a point where, how can I put this? It's like, we know that your attention is on finding people to work together with, right? In whatever sense that applies. I mean, I could literally be, working on some sort of project, but it's also finding those people that you align with, or rather that align with you, which is probably the more correct way of putting this. Because there are blueprints being formed here of the new world. And you absolutely want to be a part of that. And you want other people to be a part of that. There's a high degree of, there's that kind of weird juxtaposition that Aquarius has, which is being quite collectively minded, but also, highly individualistic and on the outside of things. And you might well be on the outside of things, but it seems to be trying to call people in. I don't think you're knocking on doors, or, sort of metaphorically speaking, saying, hello, are you part of my tribe? I think there's something quite static about the way that you're showing up in the world, but it's kicking out a big energy, and it seems to be drawing people towards you. It's interesting that we have a continuation of the Three of Pentacles kind of energy moving from your recent past through to, into April. It does feel like you're lighting a beacon somewhat for other people. It's like you can actually be here in the moment and wait and trust that as the work that you are doing to connect to more powerfully to this bigger picture of what's going on is happening, that there's a corresponding energy that's kind of beaming out from you that is drawing people in. It's the best way I can describe what it is that I'm feeling here. So we'll start with your recent past, and we've got the Hanged Man showing up sideways, we've got the Nine of Cups showing up sideways, and we've got the Three of Pentacles. And I feel like this is much more to do with where you have been in not quite understanding the extent of the process that you are undergoing at the moment. I would imagine that for a lot of you, your psychic and intuitive senses are actually peaking so fucking hard, or have been. It's a continuation, right? It certainly was going on here. And there's this odd sort of stratification of people where, to use the modern parlance, right, you've got the people who are awake and the people that are asleep. You've got the people who are switched on and aware of what's happening, and those that are a little less so. People who understand that there's something inherently really quite wrong with society, and those who are just sort of bimbling along and doing whatever it is that they've done, they do and they've done for years, kind of seemingly oblivious to it. And there are those people who are aware that there is some, again, to use the modern parlance, like some sort of great awakening that is happening, and those people who feel like they are a part of that. And then there's everybody else. And the stratification is coming because the people who are not on your wavelength are not people that you are choosing to spend time with. I mean, ever was it does with Aquarius, right? I feel quite strongly that's been something that you've always engaged with, but because everything is starting to amplify now, with the Nine of Cups indicating, as it does for me, both the way that you manage your emotions, but also what your higher goals, hopes, dreams and aspirations are, and how you can kind of put yourself onto the path that leads to those. There could have been some confusion about what that actually looks like, particularly if you're feeling the hands of fate working on you at some point, and then there are things that you want to do. You're like, how much of this is my human brain and how much of this is my higher spirituality that's kind of pulling me in a particular direction? I do feel like there's that what you've been trying to do is sit with it and let it play out the way that it wants to. For the want of a better phrase, there's almost a kind of like Jesus take the wheel kind of perspective that you've been holding, whilst also trying to make sense of the unfolding of the new paradigm and the breaking down of the old paradigm, right? The extent to which you want to be involved in the structuring of the new paradigm versus how very little interest you got in maintaining what was before. And the only thing that really being able to center and ground you in the middle of all of that is the absolute knowledge that you are involved in something that is much, much bigger than you. And that by definition requires you to draw people towards you. There's something intensely magnetic about your energy at the moment. I'm going to pull up a different deck. I'm going to pull up the Triple Goddess, which I have not used today. I'm going to pull it out. Tell me about this Three of Pentacles, please. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. And we have the Queen of Wands. Interesting. Do you know what's more interesting? We've got the Three of Wands. Three of Pentacles, again, at the bottom of the deck. Right. It's all about pulling people together and you realizing that this intense magnetism that you seem to be experiencing, that you seem to be holding, that seems to have come from nowhere, but is gaining momentum almost daily, means that you're supposed to be seen, you're supposed to be visible, and you are supposed to be that point of contact for other souls who are kind of wandering around looking for people who are on their same wavelength. The Knight of Pentacles is about discipline and commitment, but it's about those slow movements forwards. Like I said, I didn't feel like there was any kind of huge shift, huge upheaval, huge movement like we would associate here with this Knight of Wands going on for you. It's actually almost about slowing down your pace so that people can find you. And whilst you may not be entirely sure what this all means, what's really, really clear is that it means something. And it could be that signs and synchronicities have been kind of absolutely wild for you over the last, I don't know, month to 6 weeks, say something like that. And with that comes the knowledge that you are on the right path, even if you don't know where that path is going, and even if you don't necessarily know how wide the path is, or how, the extent to which you're supposed to walk it alone or not. There are a lot of uncertainties around where we're at the moment, but you seem to be walking this path that is taking you. It's almost like, I remember my ex-father-in-law once telling me about an experience he'd had when he'd been lost in some woods once. They'd been wandering around for hours and it had got dark and he was lost. And I remember him telling me he looked up at the sky and looked at the stars. And he went, "For fuck's sake, just give me a break." And a light appeared in front of him, like a little firefly kind of light. And he was quite surprised by this, and so he walked towards it, and as he walked towards it, it went out and another one appeared in front of it, and he followed those lights all the way out of the woods. Now, I wasn't there, I can't verify that, but this was a really important experience that he had. It was like 40 years beforehand when he told me about that. And I get that same sort of feeling for you. It's like, I kind of feel like I'm more or less on the right track, but I don't really know the way forwards. It's not obvious. There's no illumination, coming from above. There's no bright sunlight coming in and showing me where the path is that is well trodden by other people, because we're not really looking for the path that's been trodden by other people. And so maybe what it is there's just a light appearing in front of you here, and you walk towards that, and that one goes out and another one appears here. There's a certain amount of trust and faith that whatever's showing up here is for you and means something. That sense of meaning is really, really strong, even if you can't explain it to other people. Maybe you wouldn't even bother trying to explain it to other people. But the trust and faith that the lights are taking you in the right direction, being something that feels, I keep coming up with this word, meaningful. It feels like everything is feeling meaningful to you at the moment. And part of what is meaningful is you being seen, you being visible, you being bizarrely magnetic, and drawing all sorts of interesting and new people into your path. So when we come to your current energy, we have a continuation of that, because there's the Queen of Wands. She's there again, but we've got the Justice card overseeing all of this. Now, the Justice card is a card that speaks of natural law, balance, justice, fairness, all of these sorts of things. But there's a higher expression of the Justice card. Whenever she shows up, what we're talking about is karma. We're talking about walking a fated path. And one that is taking you towards your destiny. Now, fate and destiny are they are different things. They're not the same thing. We can choose to turn away from our destiny rather than embrace it, but we don't really get away from those fated moments. And there seems to be something that is so fated, so meaningful, so destined pulling about where you are right now, that although you may have questions about it, they're not sufficient to make you stop and look around and second guess yourself and wonder if maybe this is the right thing, or maybe I should go do something else. Right? There seems to be a very pure connection between you and an acceptance of where you are being taken. Now, the World card represents the 4 fixed signs. It's also ruled by Saturn. So we have you up here in the corner as the water bearer. We also have Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus, right? It's the 4 fixed signs. And so while it's your card, absolutely is your card, it's drawing in these other energies of fire, of water, of earth, that seem to be coming in alongside you. You know, I mean, strictly, we've got water, air, earth, and fire, which makes this woman in the center spirit, Akasha. You know, the world is a completion of a cycle. It's a card of celebration, of graduation. We are moving out of an old way of being. I mean, there's something kind of Ascension-like about this, Aquarius, where you seem to be getting the 30,000-foot view, and even though you don't know where you are and you don't really know where you're going, that higher perspective that you seem to be taking on not only what is going on in the world, but what is going on with people, what is going on for humanity generally right now. And holding that state of visibility, like putting yourself up there so that people can see you and people can move. Okay, yeah, it's these same words, elevation, ascension, visibility, like all of these have you in a place where people can look up and see where you are. It's really, really interesting. This is not because... This is not an ego position. This is not an elitist position. It's simply a role that you are being called to play, to draw those other people who have skills, attributes and abilities that need to walk the path with you, can be drawn towards you. This is really interesting, Aquarius. Tell me about this World card, please. I've got the Four of Swords representing mental peace, which is cool, and we've got the Two of Cups drawing people together. And people are in this state. A lot of people are in this state at the moment, right? They feel trapped without necessarily really understanding what it is that they're being trapped by. You know, there's a feeling brewing that there's something rather large on its way. And if you look at the astrology of April, it's not difficult to see how that might play out in a number of ways. And I do feel like there's a certain surreality of the moment anyway, because we're in between eclipses. We had the Libra lunar eclipse on the 25th of March, and as I am recording this, I'm kind of in that middle space. We've got the April 8th solar eclipse coming up too. So the energy is kind of funky at this sort of time anyway. It's unpredictable. It's a bit capricious, and you know, if that wasn't enough, then we've got Uranus coming into play later on in April, beg your pardon. So everything about the collective experience has a thread of unpredictability running through it. And I think a lot of people feel trapped by this energy because they've got these very restrictive mindsets that are keeping them very fixated on what is, you know, the day-to-day humdrum of existence. But they're not seeing this bigger picture that you're seeing. They're not seeing this bigger picture that a lot of people who are kind of occupying the same wavelength as you are seeing too. There. You feel incredibly peaceful about the changes that are coming in. I mean, the Four of Swords is my card of meditation, but it's a card of mental peace. It's a card of finding one's mental peace and learning how to cultivate that no matter what is happening. And so, you know, although things may be confusing for you, although you may not, you know, you can see the bigger picture, but you don't really know where this is going, to be able to remain peaceful in the face of that is something that sets you apart from a lot of others. And this Two of Cups, I guess it's drawing people towards you. Two of Cups, Three of Pentacles. It's all about the bringing people into alignment. You know, the Two of Cups for me is a card of sharing and intimacy, in so much as it represents shared values, shared goals, a shared path, right? There's some sort of alignment between people there. That's what you're bringing towards you, but you're bringing it towards you for a purpose that you know is on its way, even though it's not necessarily outlined yet. And that purpose actually strictly could be simply the bringing together of people. You seem to be very well positioned to do that at this point. When we move into April, we've got the Three of Pentacles again with the Ace of Pentacles and the High Priestess. And this is giving even more weight to this feeling that I've got that you are being guided in a particular way. Actually, do you know what? That Ace of Pentacles actually just looks like the way that I visualised the lights popping up in front of us here. What's different though is that here you've got an opportunity to hold that in your hand. You know, the Ace of Pentacles is potential. You know, it's one aspect of potential, and we see all of the other aces, you know, covering those different aspects of that. We also see the Fool as being a representative of potential. But in this case, it's your ability to be able to place attention somewhere, right? It's sowing a seed of attention, and where your attention goes, that's where the energy is flowing. It's in the establishment, the creation of something. And usually with the Ace of Pentacles, it's putting it in a place where other people can perceive it. If you think about the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Cups, there's a kind of ephemeral quality to those. You know, the Ace of Cups is how we feel. You know, Ace of Wands is that, yeah, actually has a kind of feeling component to it too, although it's behavioural and experiential. Quite often it's represented in terms of a feeling for me, where the blood starts to heat up and you're like excited or, you know, exhilarated about the possibility of doing something, or you feel creatively inspired. You know, we don't think creatively inspired, we feel creatively inspired. And the Ace of Swords, you know, sometimes the things that are going on inside people's heads, and you'll know this better than most, Aquarius, are completely baffling to other people. You know, you can have these mega insights and people are just kind of staring at you dumbly because they're unable to follow the steps that took you to this, you know, big epiphany. When it comes to the Ace of Pentacles, though, we're taking that and we're putting it in the ground, and it's going to grow into something else. It's going to be perceivable, perceptible by other people, to other people. There's a condensing with the Ace of Pentacles, a starting point that everybody can perceive. And you do feel like you're moving entirely on intuition, right? It's the intuitive part of you that's picking up on the light that's going out and then coming in, you know, down the way here. And so, as I said last month, it's all about the people. I mean, it feels even stronger this month that it is all about the people. But it's all about this interesting evolution of you, where you feel like you're getting bigger and stronger the longer time goes on, without necessarily even doing too much at the moment. I wonder if you might be finding it difficult. There's a Justice card at the bottom of the deck again. If you're finding it kind of difficult to focus on things that don't mean anything at the moment. Because this word meaningful keeps coming up so strongly. I had a point last year where I kept forgetting to pay my council tax bill because it seems so utterly unimportant compared to the other stuff that was going on. And the other stuff was definitely not in the realm of Pentacles, right? This is more, you know, kind of esoteric stuff. I can't take paying council tax seriously. I did pay it eventually, but I just kept forgetting because my attention was on something much more profound and much more meaningful. And again, I'm feeling shades of that here for you. There's probably a little bit of a caveat, you know, a little bit of a warning to issue, which is just, you know, remember to eat food, remember to ground yourself, although you feel pretty grounded to me, actually. Remember that you are living a human experience and human governments require shit from you. It's just as a sideways point. But there's groundwork being laid here. You've already started it. And April is just about intensifying that, putting more and more into it, you know, encouraging more and more people to come through. Now we have the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck, creation of a new foundation, a home space. You know, there's a lot here that's condensing stuff into a community space. And this could be a digital one. Right, you could be running a forum, you could be running some, I don't know, a fucking Facebook group or something, right? It could be like that. It could be a newer emergent technology that's coming in, or it could be people in your environment, people in your community. Whatever it is, you seem to be standing very tall, Aquarius. And the rest of April is about really allowing that not only to deepen, but potentially now getting ready to take steps to make this coalesce into something perceptible to other people. We've got the Seven of Wands. We've got the High Priestess again, and we've got the Three of Swords with the Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I wonder if you can sense the agitation of people. Like I said, right, people understand that there's something wrong without necessarily knowing what it is, and most people are kind of just distracting themselves with, you know, normal humdrum, you know, 3D shit, right? The shit that belongs to the old paradigm, for sure. But there's something very protective about this Seven of Wands. It's Mars and Leo, right? So it is about taking action. Like I said, it's not a violent movement like we would expect from Mars in Leo, or we would expect from the Knight of Wands. It's more an awareness of an increasing unpredictability, right? By being able to just connect with what's going on in the moment here. And the drawing people together with you is to create a foundation that will help navigate the coming storm, because I do think April's going to be actually it's going to be shitty in a lot of ways for a lot of people, right? There's a lot of unpredictability going on. But we've got the High Priestess again, like you are being guided. You are deepening your connection to the bigger picture and the part that you play in it. But this Three of Swords here feels like it's that point where people begin, the scales begin to fall from people's eyes, and they start to see the extent to which there is an issue. Right? Remember that the swords and the heart, it's that point where information and emotions collide, right? It's, oh fuck. And everything's different in wake of that. What this isn't is some sort of savior complex from you. It's not like I must save everyone. It's a very, very different energy. It's like, here I am, I'm visible, I'm magnetic, I'm kicking out this energy, I am peaceful, and people are drawing towards me. But I think even the most peaceful of people are going to find something a little bit uncomfortable about the energies of April and the things that occur in April. There's something very destabilizing about it. And necessarily so, as I'm sure you accept. But I don't think people are quite prepared for how difficult this will be. And there's you, in a position where everybody can come and find you. And everybody can start participating in the protective mechanisms, the protection of faith, the protection of the stillness that you seem to be holding so beautifully right now. It's almost like you're acting as a point of contact between everyone else in the universe. Right? There's a particular connection that you've got that's allowing a particular set of information to come through. And I've seen this with a couple of other signs as well, interestingly. Because I think there will be fallout from this month, but you're already 90 degrees away from this. So I don't think you have anything to worry about, and I think whatever it is that you're doing, Aquarius, there's an intensification of that. You know it, you can feel it anyway. It was just keep doing what you're doing, but do it more. You know, once again with feeling and all of that sort of thing. This is the path. And even though we don't know where it's going, we know where it's going. We don't know the detail, but we certainly know the arc. I like the Ace of Cups here too, because it's this increasing openness. Like, you are a vessel for which energy is moving through, Aquarius, at the moment. And that may continue for a very long time, or it may just simply be, you know, for this period here. But it's changing you. And I'm really glad to see that you're just allowing that change to happen. There's no resistance in you anywhere here to that, because it's meaningful, in it. All right. I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to go over to the extended. We're going to dig into April specifically here, because we notice that there is a change in you from simply being visible with the Queen of Wands to being more passive with the High Priestess, but elevated, right? In a scrap between major and minor arcana. The major arcana is always going to win. It's the more powerful energy. Something kind of oracle-like about this. So first you draw them in, and then you give them the wisdom that helps them navigate through. You know? Anyway, we're going to look at that more specifically in the extended. So if you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Circle, or you can do that on Vimeo. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. But if that's not your bag, that's absolutely fine. Lean into this. I don't even have to tell you to do that, because I feel like you're doing it anyway. But just keep going, Aquarius. This is spot on, you know. All right. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.